The United Nations Environment Programme states that there are about 400 million tons of plastic waste every year across the world. 36% of those are single-use plastics. Styrofoam and plastic bags take 500 years to decay. Report says between 79 and 199 million tons of plastic are dumped into oceans worldwide, which causes danger to marine life. According to the World Population Review 2024, Nigeria joined the top 10 most plastic waste releasing countries into the ocean with 18,640 tons. Other reports also state that Lagos generates 870,000 tons of plastic and loses 7 billion annually managing waste. However, the World Bank says that Nigeria might be the largest plastic waste producer by 2025. We bring it down to Lagos State right now. The Lagos State government has taken action by recently putting a ban on styrofoam and single-use plastics. To address climate change concerns, this is according to the Lagos Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab. According to him, drainage networks are often clogged due to reckless disposal of biodegradable items. Roads and markets are littered despite the best effort of the Lagos Waste Management Authority. Well, to discuss this issue with us today in the studio, who else could we have other than the Managing Director of Lagos State Waste Management Authority, Dr. Muyiwa Gbadegesin. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you and to all your viewers, and congratulations on the Eagles defeating the Antelopes yesterday.
Yes.
And, may we go on to lift the trophy.
Amen. 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 Well, first off, let's say thank you. We know you are very busy. We know we practically dragged you here this morning. We appreciate you, despite your busy schedule, to come and talk to us about this pressing issue.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so where do we start from? Let's start from the ban. What's really, everybody, yes, we talk about climate change, and we're talking about waste here, waste there, waste. Tell us, what is the relationship between the single-use plastics, the styrofoam, and the climate change?
Well, let me take a step back in the sense that the current administration of Governor Sanwo-Olu is running an agenda called the Themes Plus Agenda. And the H in Themes Plus stands for health and environment. And what we've discovered is that health and environment are directly linked. So when we talk about things like plastic pollution and management of solid waste, we find that if we don't manage our waste properly, it has a direct impact on our health. So what we've done is that we've looked at the range of materials that we're dumping daily, about 13,000 tons of waste daily, and 15% of that is plastics. And many of these plastics take hundreds of years to decompose. You're all familiar with our landfills, like the one at Ojota and Solus. We don't have space to put those plastics. And in fact, a lot of them don't even make it to the landfill. So you see them by the side of the road, in the drainages, and in the canals, where they will be for the next 500 years if we don't do anything about them. So what we've done is we've looked at the cost benefit of styrofoam. Yes, it's convenient and it's cheap, but look at the cost of clearing it from the drains. Everyone who uses styrofoam, most of them, probably 90%, just toss it by the side of the road because it means nothing to them. They don't really care about the environment and they don't understand the impact. And we have 20 million Lagosians who are doing this. So it is actually an emergency step that we've taken by focusing on the styrofoam. We will still get back to the other types of single-use plastics. But for now, styrofoams are gone and will not be coming back to Lagos.
Okay, you talked about being cost-effective. Now, what happens to the masses and to the businessman that, you know, this is the source of livelihood.
Seriously.
Did the government actually take that into consideration? Or was there a dialogue or something with stakeholders or something? Because that is the cry of the people.
Oh yes, there has been dialogue for several years now, because Lagos is part of the national development of the national policies on plastic waste management. And as a matter of fact, single-use plastics were banned about 2 years ago. But there was a moratorium that was put in place at the national level. But for us in Lagos, what we found is that we're losing millions, billions of naira every day in our failing attempt to manage this plastic waste. We're daily clearing the plastics from our drains, from the canals, and you know that every rainy season, many of us are experiencing flooding that destroys our homes. In addition to that, a little known consequence of poor plastic management where people are dumping into the drain is that it directly has a negative impact on our health. Diseases like cholera, like typhoid, even malaria are directly connected to clogged drainages where you have standing water and you can have, you know, all these waterborne diseases. So it's a responsible step that we've taken. With respect to your question about alternatives, before we had styrofoam packs, we were eating. And I don't think anyone was complaining. So there are alternatives. You have alternatives where you can use reusable plastics. You can use other types of containers. And so there are alternatives. With respect to the business people, we can't look at the economic interest of a few billionaires over the health interest of all of us, and over our need to protect our environment for future generations.
Usually things with bans like this, you hear in the news media, oh, they've done this, federal government says this, Lagos state government says this, and after a while, the news just dies down and there's no follow-up. Are we saying that styrofoams are gone for good, or we still see them in the market somehow?
They are. I would say that styrofoams are gone. We have a enforcement framework in place. You will have observed that in the last few weeks we've been having engagements with organizations like Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and you know, the restaurant and food service providers of Nigeria. And we've been engaging with them to see how we can mop up the existing stock of styrofoams that are out there. And you know, many of them are already taking steps to look for alternatives. The Honorable Commissioner did give them a brief window of 3 weeks, which will be expiring next week. Following which we'll begin the implementation of the enforcement program. And like I mentioned, there are other single-use plastics. You know, we have the nylons that we all use for shopping. There's alternative for that as well. We have single-use PET bottles that we all use to drink water. There are alternatives for that. We haven't banned those yet. Banning of the remaining single-use plastics will take a phased approach. But the styrofoam packs, being the most dangerous, those ones are gone, and we're not.
They're gone for good.
They're gone for good.
Okay, all right. We know that Nigerians, we are peculiar people, very peculiar in our own way. Now, I know that there will be challenges or resistance to the ban.
Exactly.
How have you been addressing this?
You know, one thing I believe very strongly is that anytime you have challenges, you also have opportunities. We're talking about alternatives. Those who can successfully find those alternatives, they have a ready market. Because everyone will be looking for what to switch to. Now, what we're trying to do, how we're trying to address this is that we want to go down to the grassroots level. We're doing a lot of advocacy. If you look at our social media handles, you see that our teams are out in the marketplaces and in the community telling people about the dangers of styrofoam and advising them on alternatives. We're also looking at a situation where we establish recycling centers in every local government so that people can have recycling cooperatives. So that instead of them dumping other types of single-use plastics. We can pool them together within that community, and then the off-takers can come and buy those plastics and return some money to people. So we're looking at ways of creating opportunities, even as we address the negative impacts on the environment. And we believe that there's billions of dollars locked up in this, what we call the circular economy. That's an economy where we reduce our waste, we reuse as many things as possible, and we also recycle as many products as possible, instead of dumping it into the landfill. You'll notice that at the landfill, you have all these, thousands of, in Olusoso alone, you have 5,000 waste pickers who go daily and they're picking out useful items, and you see the lorry loads that they come out of the dump sites with. So we're asking, why can't our community, our grassroots people also be engaged in this, but not at the dump site, close to their homes? Don't throw away what is still useful. Keep it, and recyclers will come and collect it from you and give you something for it. So that's how we're managing it. We're trying to convince people that what they're throwing away is not waste, it's actually wealth.
Okay, so while you were talking, there's a picture in my head. For some of us that stays within the estate, that you don't find all of this people coming around to do all the picking and all of that. What happens?
So that's a great question. Whenever you're trying to promote change, you need to put proper systems in place. Now, we've looked at the whole value chain with respect to circular economy and recycling. I mentioned earlier that you have waste pickers on the dump site. Clearly, that's not what we should have in a modern city. I mentioned the themes agenda. The M is making Lagos a modern megacity. We don't want people picking through the dump site. So what the administration has done is that we've enumerated the waste pickers, both whether on the dump site or operating in the community. So far, we have about 10,000 of them. And we're going to train them. We're going to put them into uniform and give them bicycles that they can use to go from house to house, collecting plastics from those who have recycled. Some of you would have lived in estates where you're actually recycling, but you have issues because nobody's coming to pick them up. So that's going to be a direct solution to that problem. So by the time we engage these waste pickers, of course, I'm not saying we're going to use every single one of them. We're going to be selective. The ones that are good and that are that follow our rules and regulations, they'll, drive through.
Of course, there will be criteria.
There will be criteria. They ring a bell. You can bring out your plastics. We'll give them electronic devices that they can use to track what you're giving them as well. And we believe, I like to call it, the concept we have in mind is that it's like urban mining.
Okay.
Urban mining is where we're going to be taking valuable materials from all over the city and reusing and repurposing. And so that will also help us to solve the problem of the dump sites where we don't have space. And if we want to open a new dump site, tell me, where are we going to open it? In this Lagos, with the high price of land. So we need to be responsible and manage our waste intelligently. So we need to be responsible and manage our waste intelligently.
That's interesting, because I know that some of us, all we do is drink plastic water in our homes. And I know that even in my house, we have that challenge. We have those plastics. You think we are producing plastics there, and I think that's a very good one, so to speak there, and to also know that people are going to be gainfully employed on the payroll. I think we should give it to the Lagos State government. So my question right now is that this particular ban, what are the resources available, to educate the public about the importance, of waste management? Because we know that we are just careless about managing our waste. What is the government doing to give proper education? Because you realize that even the elites are guilty.
Exactly.
Yes. So, well, your station is one of the excellent means for us to talk to the people. That's why
Thank you.
You didn't have to drag me. I was really looking forward to coming.
Wow.
Because we believe it's an excellent resource to reach the people and have conversations about the type of future that we want in Lagos and in Nigeria as a whole. We plan to work and partner with all organizations that are involved in enlightenment, like the National Orientation Agency. We want to work with them also at the local level because they have offices in every local government. We're engaging with the local government chairman as well. You know, I mentioned we want to establish community recycling centers. This will create a lot of jobs and opportunities for people. We have advocacy teams. That is, LAWMA has advocacy teams that go around the communities every day, also engaging with the people and educating them. And of course, we have the LAWMA Academy, which is one of Governor Sanwo-Olu's great initiatives, because he believes in catching them young. So through the LAWMA Academy, we've been going to primary schools on a daily basis, addressing them, teaching them.
Wow.
We set up recycling clubs in those primary schools, and as they bring recyclables to the school, we give them rewards.
Fantastic.
And in fact, in doing this, we've got such positive
fantastic. Feedback
support from other organizations. Who, there was one school, Tetra Pak, they produce a lot of packaging materials. And they came when they saw what we were doing with LAWMA Academy, and they donated chairs and tables made out of recycled materials to the school. And we felt that was fantastic. So this is also a great opportunity on NTA2, one of the most popular stations, to call for more partnerships. Those who want to partner with us with LAWMA Academy to reach our primary schools, we're calling out to you to step forward. One of the things we want to do in the primary schools is to reintroduce the idea of having water bottles. Because I don't think our children should be drinking pure water sachets.
The sachet water.
When we were growing up, we went to public school as well, and we always went with
our bottles. Exactly.
So we want to bring that back. If there are corporate organizations that want to be involved in this on the CSR, they should please reach out to us. I'm sure you'll flash all our contact details as well before the end of the program.
Oh, thank you very much. Honestly, it's interesting to know. They say if you say education is expensive, try ignorance.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And with the children, they can easily go back home and impact the knowledge. So what's the long-term sustenance of all of this? We know that we have one government comes in, the other government comes in, that one stops. And this is a fantastic idea. These are beautiful things that the present-day governor is doing. What's it doing to keep it on the long term?
So it's very simple. One of the slogans of the administration is Igbega Ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó. I was translating. Igbega Ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, Àjùmọ̀ṣe gbogbo wa ni. That means that the progress and development of Lagos is a collective effort. And so what we want to do for sustainability is to ensure that there's something for everyone as we build a new modern economy in Lagos. So we're calling it a circular economy. In doing that, we must carry along the waste pickers, we must carry along the market women, we must carry along every resident so that they see benefit to them. Because once people see a benefit, they will
in terms
be more
of monetization.
Likely, yes. Of course I'm talking
in
about
terms of monetization.
Yes.
Trust me, you'll see all those bottles off the streets.
And that goes to the, when talk about themes plus, the plus is about inclusivity, that everyone should be carried along. And so we believe if you have a stake in Lagos, if you call yourself a Lagosian, you should be embracing positive development.
Exactly.
You shouldn't be littering. You shouldn't be dumping your waste indiscriminately.
True.
You should be patronizing your PSP operator. You must be paying for your waste to be evacuated.
Exactly.
Those are things that we expect of responsible citizens. And, we'll introduce a lot of incentives as we go along.
Okay, let me ask you this important question. At times I'm driving along and you see someone just finish eating something, just put down the glass, the side glass,
and throw it out the window.
At times I feel like chasing that person to, it's so, I don't know, it gets in on me that can't you not put this thing by the side of your vehicle and all of that. So my question is that what are you doing to those that, because definitely some people will still violate it, and there's no law, there's no saying. What steps are you taking for those that will violate this?
It's something we've tried to develop programs to be able to apprehend people who are littering in moving traffic. It's difficult because you need vehicles to be able to chase them. As a matter of fact, you're not alone in that, in feeling that way. Many people, in fact, one young man has developed an app that we're currently testing to see whether if you're driving, you can take a photo of the offending vehicle and send it in, and then we can be able to trace the vehicle. So we're currently testing that. So that might be one solution to that. We've also introduced new enforcement programs where we go around at night. Those, there's some people who dump bulk waste. They come out of their house and they just dump it on the road. So far, we've arrested about 500 as of December.
That's a good one.
People where we catch them at night, we take them to court, and they're penalized, and they do community service in some cases. So we'll continue doing that, because even as we are going to introduce incentives, we have to have a carrot and stick approach. We must enforce the law, because if we don't enforce the law, none of us will be able to live in this peacefully and prosperously.
Sure. You want to say something now?
Yeah, he has answered the question, because those people throwing dirt out of their vehicles, it's always annoying. Can't you just wait till when you get to your destination and then keep it one side? But we pray those solutions work.
Okay, let me just ask this. What's the hope for the future of Lagos in the wake of this ban?
Oh, the future is bright, because we've imposed this ban in January. We believe that if we enforce aggressively, by the time it's rainy season, we should have fewer challenges with respect to keeping the drainage channels clear. It's a daily exercise evacuating waste from the drains. We're taking out tons and tons of waste every day, so that when it rains, the water will have a free path to flow. So we're hoping that we should have less incidents of flooding as a result of this ban. I'm sure many of you have seen the multiple viral videos out there showing what happens when it rains. All you see is just styrofoam packs.
Yes.
And when people's houses are flooded, what do they see? Is the styrofoam packs that are coming in to welcome them along with the flood. So that's what we feel, that for the future of Lagos, we should have the flooding should be more manageable, and then we should have cleaner environments.
Thank you very much. Before I let you go, as the managing director of LAWMA, what do you have to tell the individual, an individual in Lagos State, a resident of Lagos State, as in waste management? Just talk to your people.
Yeah, well, it's very simple. We want everyone to embrace responsible waste management. That simply means you should have a container in your house to keep your waste. You should have a PSP operator, and you should pay your bill regularly. Those are legal requirements. In addition, we want you to start sorting your waste at source, so that you can also benefit from the circular economy once we get going. So those are the three things. Make sure you have a container for your waste at home. Make sure you're patronizing a PSP operator, and that you're paying that PSP operator regularly. Then you must make sure that you sort your waste so that you can benefit from the circular economy. And don't litter.
Yeah. Let me just, something just popped up in my, I stay in an estate. So, and you realize that, you see, most of the times the elites, they are the most offenders. You realize that you just have your neighbor there, he's not paying the PSP, his bin is just there, overflowing, coming to your own compound, and no enforcement. You could go on like that for a long period of time. Maybe he just wakes up one morning and decides to pay, and they come to park, and what are you doing to? I'm particular about the estates, because the elites, they are wonderful people.
Yeah. So, they're wonderful. Well, what we're doing is that we've asked the PSPs that they must not do selective service. They should clear waste. If you're not paying, they should take evidence that you're not paying. They should take photo of the house, clear the waste, don't allow it to pile up. And then we can now enforce. So what we're doing is that we're going to we started enforcement in some areas, but it's going to be widespread. We're going to have a show your receipt exercise. And bring the law to bear on that. The state is engaging more environmental health officers. So you'll see those of you who are old to remember, enough to remember the wole wole,
Okay.
coming back. They're coming back. And that's why
that's fantastic.
Right now we're pleading and doing advocacy. Please pay your bill. When we begin to enforce, don't be caught unawares.
Wow.
So the PSU operators are expected to clear all waste. Those who are defaulting, they give us lists. Many of them have started doing that, and we'll begin the prosecution of any resident or business that fails to pay their waste. Will be prosecuted and fined.
Well done. Well done. Thank you very much. And at this point, I think it's in the right place to say well done to the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Governor, like he wants to be addressed, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And thank you. We've been discussing about the ban of the styrofoam on the segment today. And we have had in the studio no other person than the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Lagos State Waste Management Authority, Dr. Muyiwa Gbadegesin. Thank you for being our guest this morning.
Thank you for having me.